Now on this week we've been talking about and learning about oh domains. Now domains are basically you're telling yourself what can I put in for x. In other words, say I had f of x equals the square root of x minus 5. Under that radical sign, I have to have a positive number. So I would have to solve for x minus 5 is greater than 0. Add 5 to each side, and I would get x is greater than 5. So anything I put in for x has to be greater than 5, so it'll give me a positive number. So my domain would be all real numbers greater than 5. Now you'll see other types of these. You might see something like s of x equals x squared plus 4. All right. Well, this one doesn't have a radical sign, and it does not have a denominator. In other words, there's nothing, it's not over something. There's no way to get a 0 in the denominator. So the domain would be all real numbers. Okay. Now another one, let's see. Let's go to another page. Let's say I had something like f of x equals 7 over x minus 10. Now, I do have a denominator here, and is there any way for it to be 0? Well, of course there is. So let's see what it would be. Add 10 to each side. And you can tell by looking at it. If x equals 0, I have an undefined element. So my domain would be all real numbers. I'm going to make the number sign. X cannot be equal to 10, because if x were to equal 10, I would have 7 over 0, and that's not a real number, is it? That's what do we usually say there? It does not exist. We can't have that number. So it's all real numbers. X is not equal to 10. Now, if I had something like, let's say I had g of x equals 5 over x squared plus 1. Is there any way to get a 0 there? In other words, is there any way for x squared plus 1 to equal 0? No, there's not, because x squared would have to be equal to negative 1. And you don't square two numbers and get a negative number. So the domain for this one would be all real numbers. Okay? Let's see. What about if I just had something else real simple? Say I had, I don't know, p of x equals 6x minus 1. Again, there's no denominator. There's nothing to go to 0 and cause you to have an undefined answer. There's no radical sign. Therefore, my domain is all real numbers. One more. Let's look at one more. Let's say I had f of x equals the square root of x plus 1. Is there any way to get a number less than 0 in there? Well, sure you can, but it's got to be, we got to make sure that it's greater than 0. Subtract 1, so x has got to be greater than negative 1. My domain would be real numbers. X has got to be greater than negative 1. Because if it was less than negative 1, I could get a negative number under the radical sign. And negative radicals do not exist like that for like square roots. Anyway, hope this helped you out.